Hello everyone, welcome to today's installment of Sharon Creech's Hate That Cat. If you saw our video yesterday, Mr. Teddy sat with me and he is doing so much better about not being an obnoxious barker while I'm trying to teach and do things when he's in my lap. So we'll go with that, and I think this will work nicely. Plus, it's very nice to have him. This book has a part that it'll be nice to have something that's sweet and comfortable. Just a little foreshadowing for you. We left off yesterday where he was doing a metaphor, and then he did a simile about his mother like a plump chair, and then he was like, no, but she's so much more than a chair, which, again, that's just makes you go, aw, when a kid says something so sweet about his mother. Today, as we read, you're going to be hearing the names of poets and the names of poems that are in our reading lessons on the 14th and 15th, so you can have some nice connections with that. Alrighty, here we go. February 21st. Well, okay, I'll try it. Here goes. My mother is like a plump chair, all squishy, soft, and huggy when you sit in her lap. Just so you know, I'm too old to sit in her lap. I'm just saying this for the poem. Her arms hold you in so you won't fall and you will feel safe. And she has sturdy legs. Although, I want to make it clear that my real mother has 2 legs, not 4. And a straight back. She is proud but not too proud, and she is there waiting for me, always quietly waiting for me. End of poem. So the way he wrote it, his poem had in italics, and then in parentheses, he was adding all of his explanation notes. So here's the problem. My real mother can't always be waiting for me because she works at night. And my mother doesn't sit in one place day in and day out like a chair does. She is always moving her hands, waving in the air, talking to us with those hands. And I'm using my hands the way he wrote it, where he showed the motion. Again, a wonderful poetic device to use your words to help with your meaning. And she isn't plump at all. Like I said, she has 2 legs, not 4. And so really, she's not much like a chair at all. I will never be a real poet. February 25th. Today, the fat black cat up in the tree by the bus stop dropped a nut on my head. Thunk! And when I yelled at it, that fat black cat said, meow, 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 in a nasty, spiteful way. I hate that cat. Do you remember what thunk? Do you remember a really big fun word to say when you make sound words? Onomatopoeia. All right, February 28th. I am getting a little worried about poor Mr. William Carlos Williams. Is he alive? I mean, first there was a poem about the red wheelbarrow and the chickadee chickens, and it's true, I like the poem now. It grows on you. But those 2 poems about the plums, one of our lessons uses one of those plum poems. I think Caitlin was crying because she felt stupid. And to tell you the truth, I felt stupid too, because even though those were nice little thingies that Mr. William Carlos Williams said about the sweet plums and the old lady, and even though I could see little pictures in my mind when you were reading the plum poems, it would be very, very hard to explain to my Uncle Bill while those are poems and not little notes scribbled on scrap paper. And did you notice that Mr. William Carlos Williams does not use much in the way of alliteration or onomatopoeia or simile or metaphor? Did you notice? March 6th. This morning I left a note for my mother. And here's the note. This is just to say, I have eaten the pudding that was in the fridge and which you were maybe saving for dessert. Forgive me, it was so yum, so thick, so creamy. If you heard the plum poem in our reading lesson, that one will make sense to you. March 7th. Those non-poems of the cuckoo Mr. William Carlos Williams are running in my head. Mom in the Kitchen, inspired by Mr. William Carlos Williams, written by Jack. Crunching on a pickle in the middle of the room, juice running down her arm. It tastes good to her. It tastes good to her. It tastes good to her. You can tell by the way she closes her eyes and licks her lips and then her arm. Refreshed. A song of dill pickles filling the air. It tastes good to her. March 13th. You know what? Today in the library I found more poems by Mr. William Carlos Williams. And do you know what he wrote? A poem about a... Ready? 3, 2, 1. Cat. A cat. The title is Poem. Is Mr. William Carlos Williams just a little bit lazy? And it's only about a cat climbing over a jam closet. What is a jam closet? And into a flower pot. That's it. That is the P-O-E-M. But as soon as I read it, I saw in my head Skitter McKitter, my black kitten. So here is a non-poem about her. Again, he's modeling the authors. Non-poem, inspired by Lazy, Mr. William Carlos Williams, written by Jack. As the kitten leaped over the pot of blue violets, first the front paws, gracefully then the hind paws, landing into the bottom of the kitchen sink. Nope, if Mr. WCW doesn't have to think of a title, I don't either, right? March 14th, another non-poem inspired by Mr. William Carlos Williams, written by Jack. The fat black cat crouched on a limb of the maple tree, needle claws scratching the bark, menacingly, then the tail whacking on the branch in warning. March 21st. Just as I expected, my Uncle Bill is not a big fan of Mr. William Carlos Williams. Uncle Bill says Mr. WCW is a minor poet and a faux poet. Later, my dad explained to me that he meant faux that means fake, and I said, what about the So Much Depends Upon poem and the Plum poems, which are stuck in my head and I can say them from memory? And Uncle Bill said, overrated, highly overrated. And I found myself sticking up for poor Mr. William Carlos Williams and the small ordinary things he writes about and the small ordinary moments that you don't notice until you read his poems. And Uncle Bill said, small things, small moments, give me large things, large moments. Give me poems about death and dying and war and tragedy and philosophical metaphors. Give me sonnets. Give me odes. Blah, blah, blah. The only interesting thing he said while he was visiting is that he's allergic to cats. And he sneezed a lot just to prove it. And he made us lock Skitter McKitter in my room. And when he left, my dad said 2 things. First, sometimes I envy your mom not being able to hear. And second, if Uncle Bill is allergic to cats, maybe he won't be able to visit us anymore. Ha, ha, ha. And that is it for today. I hope you are loving this. I love this story. And we're getting close to the end. And the end it has a beautiful moment and a hilarious moment. And then a very wonderful closing. So I hope you stick with us. Bye, guys.